Hello, happy summer solstice. Today is the longest day of the year. It's actually not the hottest day of the year, but it is pretty warm. This is probably not a great time of day to be out here doing this. It's 1 o'clock and it's pretty warm, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I have been wanting to do a little update on how the garden's doing for a while now, and I thought today would be a good day to do it, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna apologize in advance. Not everything is very pretty. There's weeds and stuff everywhere, but that's all right because I think a lot of gardens look this way, and I think gardens that are all nice and neat and perfect tend to get the most attention, and that might make some people feel bad about their gardens that aren't so nice and pretty. So here's mine in all its imperfect glory. And it's gonna produce food anyway, so it's okay. I have been trying to keep cleaned out close to the plants, but you know, there's obviously a lot of weeds on the other side of the fence that I haven't been to take care of recently, but right here along them on this side I've been doing pretty good. And actually there's also, most of this is tomatoes, but I had 3 grapevines, starts from cuttings that a good friend of ours in New York sent down with my mom on one of her trips, and she didn't have a good place to put them, so I took them and put them here. So this is one of them on this end, and they're still alive, so we'll see how they do in the next couple of years, how they grow. And then up through here, these are my tomato plants that were planted first. I have been doing pretty good at keeping them pruned, and I'm using the fence as a trellis, so I'm just kind of weaving them in and out, you know, every wire, every other wire, weaving them back and forth to help support them. This guy has a lot of blossoms on it. I saw a little fruit on one the other day, but I don't think it was this one. And these ones on this end are Cherokee Purple, and then I had a couple here that just didn't do as well from the start, but I'm letting them go and we'll see. And like here, I'm missing 1 or 2, and I will probably replace those with some of the suckers I'm starting. But several of them are doing quite well, and so far I'm happy with how they're doing, considering the whole no-till experiment and how little time and effort really I've had to put into them. I've been pretty pleased so far, and I'm really curious to see how they do as the summer goes on. I'm not exactly sure where it switches, but as I go along here, one, they're not as old as those other plants, but also these guys are called Dad Sunset, which is an orange variety of beefsteak, and they're also doing really well. Got lots of blossoms starting, and at some point up in here, and again I'm not real sure where because my markers either disappeared or the writing vanished off them. But anyway, at some point I switched from the orange ones to just a classic red beefsteak, and they were at this end of it, and they were also the ones that I had down on the other end of this fence, and unfortunately those are the ones that the cows got into. So these guys, most of them are still alive. They're still alive, but they did eat the tops off several of them. Fortunately, I had not yet done much pruning at that point, so there were some strong suckers going near the bottom of the plant, and so I just let them go to become the main plant, like on this one. You can see they ate off the main plant right there, and I just let both of these suckers go, so I'll have 2 stalks on that plant, and we'll see how they do. And I did also prune some other suckers off of them that I am, trying to start new plants off of. So hopefully I will have some more red ones to put in, because I was really hoping to have a lot of red ones, since those are the ones that I'd prefer to can with. As it is, I'm probably going to have the most orange ones, at least to start out with, but hopefully I will have more red ones as the season goes on. And right here is one of the other grapevines that I put in. Also, I didn't actually plant any of these, they were just here, but there's a lot of wild grapevine here and some blackberries, and there's also a lot of blackberry out in the pastures. There's several big patches, and there's a couple patches down along the driveway too, and they are loaded, so hopefully we get some of those. I've been watching them pretty close, and there have been a few ripe ones, but only enough to snack on so far. There haven't been enough to pick and do anything with, but there are a lot of red ones, so hopefully within the next couple weeks we'll get some of those to freeze and maybe make jam and stuff like that. And then right there is the last of the 3 grapevines. Right here, nothing's come up yet, but I put in a second sowing of dill that I'm hoping will come up. There's some that's already come up on the other end. I'll show you that in a minute. The cucumbers, if you saw my cucumber planting video, I really couldn't tell you how many seeds I put in, but I think I've got like 10 plants that came up out of that, which is, I think, pretty good considering the low time and effort that went into it. So these are some of the bigger ones on this end, and once they came up and were pretty well established, I went ahead and put some mulch around them to help them retain moisture and not get as hot on the roots, because cucumbers don't really like super high heat so much. So they're doing pretty well. My peppers that I put in, they were struggling for a while. And there's a couple of them, again, the cows got into or something got into and ate the tops off, but they have, sorry about that, helper wanted a wagon ride, so we're gonna combine our efforts here. Anyway, the peppers, they were struggling there, but for the most part, they have recovered pretty well, and they're starting to do better. And these 2 varieties on this end, the bell pepper varieties, are doing better than the banana peppers, which are way on the other end, and I think that is mostly because of that tree. These 2 spots get a lot more shade in the afternoon than that one does down there. It takes longer for it to reach those down there, and I think that's why. I think they're just having a little bit of sun stress that these guys get a little bit more of a reprieve from in the afternoon. And the other thing, where are they? When I planted all of this, maybe there wasn't any on this end, I just threw some basil seeds down in front of the peppers, but I might not have done it here. Can you sit down? Can you sit down? Thank you. And then in between these 2 pepper varieties, I put in some zucchini. That one's doing the best by far. Then this one on this end came up, but it is not thriving. So I'm probably gonna let it go because I have some zucchini plants over in the other one, and it doesn't really matter. I'm sure I'll have plenty between all of them. And these 2 in the middle never came up, so I planted again, and this one came up. That one did not. So I might stick another couple seeds in there and see if they do. Might not. Doesn't really matter. Like I said, I have other plants, and it'll be okay either way. And there's another couple cucumber plants right back there. Okay, this is the other bell pepper. I honestly cannot remember at this point. One of these is orange, and the other one is red and green. I can't remember which is which, but we'll find out soon enough. And again, they're doing pretty well. Okay, yeah, here's the basil. So I just threw basil seeds down in the front to see if any of them would come up, and some of them have. So there's some more over here. So that's cool. And in this patch between here and the banana peppers, of course there's some more cucumbers on the back there, but I just, instead of mulching it and planting something here, I just left it bare and just threw some daikon radish seed, some Swiss chard seed, and carrot seed None of the carrots came up, which could be for a couple reasons. One, the seed was a few years old, so it might not be great. And back again, I just had to, my phone came up with a message that it was too hot and needed to cool down before I could use it, so I had to go take it in the house for a few minutes so it could cool down. I think that's the first time that's ever happened to me, so it must be it's warmer out than I thought. Anyway, as I was saying, none of the carrots came up, which is probably either because it was old seed, or I have also heard that carrots just don't germinate well in hot weather, which it was when I put them out, so I guess that's not all that surprising. Anyway, a lot of the daikon radish did come up. That's what all this big leaf stuff is. And several of the Swiss chard came up, and I've been just picking those a little bit here and there as baby greens. I think there's like 4 or 5 of them that came up. Anyway, so that's all fine. Then over in here is the banana peppers, and you can probably see they're getting better, but they aren't doing as well as the other ones. And like I said, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that they aren't getting as much shade in the afternoon as the other ones are. And there's a few little basils on this end too, where threw those in front of this bed. And then right here in this little spot is the dill, which will hopefully be ready if and when I get some cucumbers for pickling. This one's doing the best so far. I'm showing them up close because they're hard to see from far away. And then there's a few right here, and there's a little baby one there that's just coming on, and one there, and I thought there was another one, but that might be all of it. But you know, if those get big, that should be plenty. Bless you. Right in here, I just forked this up this morning, and this evening when it's a little cooler, I plan on putting those tomato suckers that I put in the little 6-pack planter in my last video in here this evening. And then I've got tin down on this part, which this is where some of those red beefsteaks were that got wiped out early on. But I've just got them covered up again until I've got plants ready to put there. Right here is cherry tomato plants that my mom brought me, that a friend of ours gave her a bunch of them, and she kept a couple and brought the rest to me. So I potted one for Zach to have at work, and then there's 9 here, and they're all doing well so far. And then in this spot was where that pile of dirt was from when we did the driveway. So Zach brought some old manure from the barn and mixed it up and kind of spread it out here, and it was pretty rough, but I covered it in hay. And I've put out corn, Kentucky rainbow corn, and watermelon and squash so far. I'm trying to do like a 3 Sisters thing. We'll see if it works out or not. I haven't had great luck with it in the past, but I'll probably keep trying until I do. See if any of it's come up yet. It hadn't as of yesterday. Yeah, I'm not seeing any of the corn up yet, but it's only been a few days, so we'll see. And I did the watermelon seed around the edges, kind of, and I put some squash in the middle, and we'll see how they come up and go from there. Yeah. Can you sit down, please? Thank you. Over here in my little rock garden bed, the cows also got in here one night, the night they got the tomatoes. So I think I've got 4, maybe 5 of the nadapinas left, which is fine because those are probably just going to be using pico de gallo thing anyway, something like that. They're not probably going to be anything I want to do a lot with, but I think the Tulsi's all still alive. This one has bolted, but that one's kind of bushing out. They're doing pretty well. And I got a 4-pack of zucchini plants, and I put them in here. And they haven't gotten very big yet, but they're putting out blossoms, so we'll see how they do. and it's looking really sad right now because it needs watered, but my mom brought me a piece of comfrey plant and I put it in here, and when it's watered it actually perks up and looks pretty nice. But since it was just transplanted and it's been so hot, it doesn't take much for it to want to wilt, so I just need to make sure I get it some water sometime today. And I kind of hate to even show this, but I don't want to hide anything. So this is where I ended up putting my 2 hot pepper varieties. I have cayenne on this side and sugar rush peach on this side. And it's down here by the barn. So it's far enough away from the other ones, and it's got the house and the shed in between, so I'm not worried about them cross-pollinating from here. But they aren't doing particularly well. These guys especially, one of the heifers stepped in here again that same night, and I had a string up around, I had it tied here, but she knocked it down and she went in here. She did not mess with those at all, but she came in here and ate off like all but 4 of them. So the only ones that were left at all, oh, and shoot, and that one tipped over. See, that one was actually doing pretty well yesterday or the day before, and I'm not sure what knocked it over, but something did. And anyway, some of the ones she nibbled off are actually coming back. So I guess we'll see if they do anything. At this point, I would be happy if I even just got a couple of fruit out of this somehow, just so I, know if it's even something we like it or not and want to do again, and if so, I can save some seeds, because back when I was planting, I had a mouse get into one of my seedling trays and dug out all of the little seedlings that came up, and the ones I had started were in that one, so I had to start more. So anyway, I ended up using all the seed I had out of that packet, so if I want to do it again, I'm going to have to save seeds from this one, these, or buy it again, which I don't really want to do. But anyway. And then the cayenne, she did not eat those, but they don't get any shade in the afternoon over here like the other ones do, and I think that's a lot of it, that it's just a lot of heat stress on them, and I'm not sure what to do about that, or if there is anything I can do about it, but I think I'm just gonna see how they do, if they do anything, and next year, maybe give a little more thought to that before I do it, because I was looking for anywhere to plant them this year, because I needed them far enough away from the other ones that they wouldn't cross-pollinate, and I couldn't have them in the pasture because obviously the cows will get into them. So anyway, they're not doing very well, but maybe I'll get something out of them. And also just note, because I'm talking about saving seeds from them, I'm not worried about these 2 cross-pollinating with each other, because this is Capsicum annuum and this one is Capsicum baccatum, and from what I understand, they won't cross-pollinate, and honestly, even if they did, at least they're both hot pepper varieties, so it's not like I'm gonna get a surprise that I thought was a sweet bell pepper that's hot, so it's nothing like that. So that's why I'm not worried about having them together and saving seeds from them. Then there's some stuff that isn't actually in the garden, but that I'm growing. I have this little Dollar Tree tower planter out on the back porch, and I've got basil in it. These bigger plants are ones that I started from seed inside when I was doing all the other plants, and I put them in it. This guy over here is not doing very well, but the rest of them are doing pretty good. And then there were a couple that were left empty, so I in the last week, I put some seeds in those to have some other ones coming on, and they're doing pretty well. The hardest part for me about container gardening is keeping things watered, because they will dry out very quickly, especially I don't have great soil in these, so but as long as I keep them watered, they're doing really well. I actually just picked some off of this one today for our lunch. It's pretty convenient to have it right here on the porch. I can just run outside and grab some if I want it, so that's good. If I do this again, I will probably find some soil better suited to it, but they're doing pretty well considering. Then out here on the front porch, I've got my tomato suckers that I'm trying to get going. These guys look pretty sad. That's because I just put them in soil yesterday. You know, they were soaking in the water. These are the ones that I did in the last video that I had been soaking before that, and that I potted in that video. So as you can see, they've been in there for about a week, and they've perked up nicely. And want to put those in where I showed you earlier, down near the cherry tomatoes, and I'm hoping to do that this evening. We'll see. And these guys are the ones that I pruned off in that video and was just putting in the water. So I just put those in the soil yesterday, and we'll probably give those about a week to acclimate to before I try to put them in the ground. These ones are, I know I got off of the red beefsteaks, so I definitely want to get those in. And the rest of them are probably orange. There might be some red in there because, again, I'm not exactly sure where they changed over, but the red ones are my priority, and the rest of them I'll just use as needed pretty much. So right now I've just got them up here where they get sun in the morning, but then they're sheltered in the afternoon. I'm gonna keep them well watered and go from there. So anyway, that's pretty much all my stuff. What are you doing? Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. I hope your garden is doing well if you have one, and if you don't, it is not too late to plant something this year. Probably. I mean, it depends on where you live, but depending on where you are and how long your growing season is, you may still have time to plant stuff like this. Tomatoes, squash, stuff like that. You probably do. I would say probably most people do. But, and if you don't, there's always fall garden type crops like greens and turnips and stuff like that. So go grow something. Yeah. Plant. Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.